Homophobia is a sin. If you don't believe in sin, then let's just say homophobia is wrong. It's akin to murder. It's akin to killing. Often it's nothing less than terrorism, given a different name. The worst part is that it's a slow killing. Kill the spirit of another person repeatedly until there's nothing left. No matter your religious beliefs, you cannot properly reconcile homophobic behavior with God or with being a human person. Yet too often, homophobia is cloaked in religion as a way to justify assaulting the dignity of a person made in the image of a common creator. My story is one who ministers among many, many LGBTQ persons and their families and friends. And I want to share the story of 3 people with you. 3 people I met through my ministry. I'm going to change their names to protect their identity, but they're true stories. Jake was a freshman at UK. He was ending his freshman year. He saw an ad for LGBT ministry in the Pink Pages, an LGBT phone directory published in the Bluegrass. He had attended public high school and had gone to Mass with his family every week. Jake was not from Lexington. In high school, he was never out because he feared that he'd be ridiculed. He pretended to date young women, but always felt badly because he knew he was being fraudulent. He had to do, though, what he had to do to survive. One day, he goes to confession, feeling badly because he was gay, although he had not had any sexual experience at that point. So he was really only confessing to being gay because he thought that was sinful. He heard that message from his church's leadership. The priest told him to pray hard and he'd be cured. The priest told him God didn't want anybody to be gay. Needless to say, Jake was not cured. Jake researched how to commit suicide efficiently on the internet. He said he was afraid of being in pain on the way out, so he wanted to be sure whatever he did would kill him quickly and without pain. He said he had no hope because he was gay and it couldn't be prayed away. He didn't have the guts to kill himself that day that he set aside to do it, but he said for days afterwards he wished he did. At any rate, he decided not to go to church anymore. And he hadn't gone to church since before he left for college. He met other LGBT persons at UK and they became his friends. He finally could come out, even to himself, as a person who didn't need to be changed. And he came out to his friends, too. He happened to pick up the Pink Pages directory at Soundbar one night, and he looked through it, and he saw the ad for a Catholic LGBT ministry. And he saw Father John Curtis's number and my number in the ad. He decided he didn't want to call a priest. He called me. Thank God he called someone. Jake had pretty much given up on the church and on God. But now Jake is at least considering coming into a Catholic church, and he doesn't want to kill himself. He sees himself and understands himself as good and worthwhile. In high school, in the church, the effects of homophobia nearly caused Jake to take his life. He had to pretend to be straight to survive. Imagine the living hell that Jake lived until he arrived at UK. Maybe some of you in this room know exactly what I'm talking about personally, or because you've got a friend that knows it. Lauren was a sophomore at a Catholic high school when she called me. She came out to a few of her friends as a lesbian. The Mean Girls clique, as she called them, were dreadful. They called her names. They left her friendless, except for 2 trusted friends who stood by her. Lauren was a lucky one, though. She had those 2 trusted friends. She called because she was afraid to tell anyone at church, and she really wanted to so she could be her real self there. Personally, I think church is a good place to be your real self. If we can't be our real selves before God and God's people, there's a problem, in my opinion. Lauren experienced implied homophobia within the church and explicit homophobia at school. She's a senior this year. She still has trusted friends and has figured out how to disregard some of the mean girls. Lauren can't understand why it's even any of their concern. She's trying her best just to stay afloat and to flourish. I give her a lot of credit. Maybe there's some of you in this room today trying to stay afloat in the face of ugly homophobic words or attitudes or actions, or maybe you know a friend who's trying to stay afloat. There's a third person I want to introduce you to, Mike. He was a senior in a Catholic high school when we met. I met him at a retreat in Chicago last year. He was, by everyone's account, classically good-looking. He was an excellent student. The girls found him attractive. Teachers loved him. His grades were excellent. He was the all-American jock, every mother's dream for their daughter. One problem, quote, unquote, Mike was gay. He never told anyone, and no one suspected it. Mike said he played the game well. Don't ask, don't tell. And they don't ask when you play the game right. He said it landed him being the homecoming king. He's one of the most popular guys in high school. That is, until one afternoon he and another friend who was in the closet got to talking, and they got to talking too loud, and someone overheard. And the word spread like wildfire. Mike and his friend were both gay. The all-American jock, the homecoming king, top of the class in academics, and all-around good guy was now, in the twinkling of an eye, the subject of rumor and gossip. Homophobia isn't always in your face. Often it's subtle. It destroys the person in a cowardly way. Rumor, gossip, a snide joke, a subtle and toxic way of acting. A cancer that kills the spirit and sometimes tragically kills the body too. But Mike was a strong sort. The friend they overheard him talking to turned out to be his boyfriend. In fact, they were both gay. They decided to let everyone know it. They refused to keep it a secret. He said he figured everything would be okay. Talk about optimism. The Franciscan friars ran the school. He said they were not only understanding but supportive. Thank God for the spirit of St. Francis. Maybe someone in this room knows the value of support when coming out. Maybe you have a friend who treasures the support he or she receives from teachers, students, friends, your priest, anyone with a heart fashioned after God's. I could tell you more stories, some sad, others that worked out well. All have a few things in common. Young people either survived or felt like ending their lives depending on the actions of others. You all have a lot of power, really. We have power to make life hell or to make it a taste of heaven for people. For our LGBT sisters and brothers, the coming out process, and that process can take years, is pretty often difficult and only made worse by attitudes and biases that are ugly. You hold a lot of power to uphold the dignity of every brother or sister and make life either a fire-breathing hell for another person, a person with God-given dignity, or make it a taste of heaven. Every day your choices support and respect life or destroy the spirit and consequently maybe destroy a life too. We may think to ourselves, heck, it's just a gay joke, or I was just kidding calling someone gay. You may as well take a knife to another if you think words don't matter, if you think words don't wound and kill. It might be a rumor you helped spread by repeating it that could drive an already pretty fragile brother or sister to the edge. Or maybe it's religion that we use as a weapon to keep others that we don't understand in check. We've all seen the signs carried in marches. God hates fags. Fags deserve AIDS. All kinds of ugliness. I think God weeps. I doubt God is honored when we disrespect God's life and other people. So what have I learned in this ministry? Pope Francis says it all the time. We have to build the culture of encounter, where every brother and sister is loved and cared for, respected and known. There is no other way. When we get to know someone else, we won't buy into homophobia or cruelty, subtle or overt. We talk about respecting life, and that means all life, every life, God's life in ourselves and in other people. Jake, Lauren, and Mike are no different than young women and men in your schools. All they wanted was a friend to flourish like everyone else, in a culture that respects them, respects their diversity, their dignity, their lives. And they wanted a chance to be themselves. Here's the bottom line. All most people really want is just a place that allows them to be. I ask you, please, take a stand and vow to create a safe space where others are affirmed, valued, held sacred, and cared for. Allow others to be. Please, safeguard their dignity. Protect it. I think God expects nothing less. As human beings, we ought to expect nothing less of one another. No matter what your belief is, would you do me a big favor and just bow your heads with me and let's just pray however you understand God. Give us grace and vision to build a culture of encounter together. Understanding that we don't have to agree on everything, nor understand everything to walk together, to work together, to uphold the dignity of every person. Help us meet one another on the bridge. Every bridge we can find or create and keep us united in dignity, celebrating our belonging to a common family, born of one whose diversity is our strength and our glory. Give us grace to go forward, always forward, walking together in love, one family, one human family. Hang on. Thanks for listening, folks.